children. I'm going to tell you a little story. Are you all sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time there was a dear little girl who was loved by everyone, but most of all by her grandmother, and there was nothing that she would not have given to the child. Once she gave her a little cape and a hat of red velvet, which suited her so well that she would never wear anything else, so she was always called Little Red Riding Hood. One day her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here are some apples. Take them to your grandmother. She is ill and weak, and they will do her good. Set out before it gets hot, and when you are going, keep away from the woods and walk on the path." "I will take great care," said Little Red Riding Hood to her mother. The grandmother lived out on the edge of the woods, half a league from the village, and as Little Red Riding Hood entered the wood, a wolf met her. Little Red Riding Hood did not know what a wicked creature he was, and was not at all afraid of him.
"Good day, Little Red Riding Hood,"
he said. "Thank you kindly, Wolf."
"Where are you going so early, Little Red Riding Hood?"
"To my grandmother's."
What have you got in your apron?"
"Apples, so my poor sick grandmother can have something good to make her stronger."
"Where does your grandmother live, Little Red Riding Hood?"
"A quarter of a parsec farther on the end of the wood. Her house stands under the 3 large oak trees. She surely must know them," replied Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought to himself,
"I must act craftily so as catch them both."
So he walked for a short time by the side of Little Red Riding Hood, and then said,
"See, Little Red Riding Hood, how pretty the flowers are about here. Why do you not look around? I believe, too, that you do not hear how sweetly the little birds are singing."
Little Red Riding Hood raised her eyes, and when she saw the sunbeams dancing here and there through the trees and pretty flowers growing everywhere, she thought, "Maybe the force is with me. Suppose I take grandmother a fresh nosegay. That would please her too. It is so early in the day that I shall get there in good time." And so she ran from the path into the woods to look for the flowers. And whenever she had picked one, she fancied that she saw a still prettier one further on, and ran after it. And so she got deeper and deeper into the wood. Meanwhile, the wolf had run straight to the grandmother's house and knocked at the door. "Who's there?"
"Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf. "She is bringing apples. Open the door."
"Lift the latch," called out the grandmother. "I'm too weak and I cannot get up." The wolf lifted the latch and the door sprang open, and without saying a word he went straight to the grandmother's bed and destroyed her. Then he put on her black cape, dressed himself in her cap, laid himself in bed and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood, however, had been running about picking flowers, and when she had gathered enough, she remembered her grandmother and set out on the way to her. She was surprised to find the cottage door open, and when she went into the room, she felt a strange presence she could not identify. It certainly wasn't Uncle Ben. "How uneasy I feel today," she called out, "Good morning," but received no answer, so she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay her grandmother with her cap pulled over her face and looking very strange and breathing very heavily. "Oh, grandmother," she said, "what big ears you have."
"The better to hear you with, my child,"
was the reply. "But grandmother, what a deep voice you have," she said.
"The better to greet you with, my dear."
"But grandmother, what large hands you have."
"The better to hug you with."
"Oh, but grandmother, what a terrible big mouth you have."
"If only you knew the power of the dark side."
And scarcely had the wolf said this than with a one bound he was out of bed and swept his lightsaber in an arc, slicing poor Little Red Riding Hood's hand off. Little Red Riding Hood gazed in horror at her mortal wound, and where her hand had been clutching her own lightsaber.
"Don't make me destroy you too. I have long sought you. We can mold the works as father and daughter.
Little Red Riding Hood sprang out crying, "It's not true! That's impossible! No!"